it's probably better to say genomically enhanced breeding values that perform well in commercial cattle. We've got these large reference databases that are primarily made up of purebred animals, and they train the EPDs for many traits, and then those EPDs are purchased by commercial producers that go out and those bulls are then bred to all sorts of crossbred cattle. And of course this causes a certain amount of inaccuracies in those EPD, and that's the intent behind this particular project. I just want to use this one slide to just show you the potential, but it essentially shows that if we have a comprehensive genetic selection program and we improve the accuracy of our EPDs or gEPDs that perform well in commercial crossbreeding situations, that we can have quite an impact on the profitability of cow-calf operations. You can see it right there, between $200 and $300 million of annualized return. So here's some of the objectives. Primarily, our goal is to get, very simply, to get gEPDs that perform well in crossbred breeding herds. Our objectives are to screen and to annotate 34 million genomic variances for their functional impact on our traits of interest. In this case, it's feed efficiency and carcass traits, and that's primarily being led by Paul Stothard. Another, of course, is to then improve the accuracy of our gEPDs for 10 traits. I won't mention those right now, but they are, feed efficiency traits and meat quality traits. Include those EPDs into multi-trait selection indexes. And then, of course, here's sort of a kicker that I thought we didn't really see coming. But there is this business of deploying genomic tools that have immediate benefit to commercial producers. Parentage is obvious, everybody sees that, but maybe not genomic breed composition or retained heterozygosity. Here's some other progress that we've done. So really these are activities, of course, leading to, eventually our ultimate deliverable. But so far this year, we've genotyped, 2,300 feeder progeny with a low density panel, 133 sires with the 50K. There was sire assignment, in other words, sires were assigned to progeny on 64% of calves, and I know that there's probably some of you just sort of going, what? But you realize when you're dealing with commercial cattle producers that not all bulls are kept in their bull list, and so we had incomplete sire lists for many of these herds. There were some that were perfect. There was 100% sire assignment, but there's others that weren't, and that's something that's going to have to be improved in the future. We've also conducted, through the help of Mohammed, he's calculated the genomic breed composition, the retained heterozygosity on the progeny and dams, and then of course most of the sires were purebred. We did short-term feed intake testing on about 650, and then just recently we received 2,400 really detailed carcass data from our feeder cattle, and we have around 300 plus methane phenotypes that we'll be using. So, here's some of the immediate values. These are examples, and it really shows that there's a range of EPDs of sires here, 3 breeding programs from 15 to 48 sires, and these are carcass value EPDs, and it shows you the great range in carcass value from those, I don't know what are they, less than 100 bulls there, but that is real value that the commercial producer can take advantage of. The other thing that we looked at is this business of genomic breed composition, and you almost wonder, well, other than Ancestry.com, and that's kind of neat to know your ancestry, what are we going to do with genomic breed composition? Well, the first thing we should do is find out whether it's related to breed composition by pedigree, and it's highly related. This is just a small example with all the breeds included, and you can see the R-squares around 96%. But then you've got to go further, and you've got to build value from this back to the producer. And here, of course, is just an example. We've called this My Herd and Me. It's actually a domain name that Graham Plasto has obtained. And essentially what it is it's you do the breed composition, genomic breed composition for the steer progeny, and you know the the breed composition of the bull in most cases, and from that you can determine the genomic breed composition or the calculated breed composition of all of the cows without sampling them. Right? So those of you in the room would follow that through quite nicely. So then what can you do with that? Well, one of the things that was calculated was retained heterozygosity. And of course, those of you that are involved in crossbreeding realize that heterozygosity and hybrid vigor for fitness traits are linearly related. So higher the retained heterozygosity, higher hybrid vigor, and the more profitability for your fitness traits. And so that was interesting. And so here you can see there's the business on the crossbred cow. So the question you've got to ask is, look, everybody in North America crossbreeds, or just about, and everybody in Alberta crossbreeds. So who cares? Is this a problem at all? And so, we asked the question, so is low retained heterozygosity and reduced hybrid vigor an opportunity? Not an issue or a problem. Is it an opportunity? And here we've got 13 herds. These are 13 commercial herds that we work with. And you can see that the proportion of calves with less than 50% heterozygosity in herd 1 is over 85%. That's almost purebred breeding, by the way. And then way at the end with herd number 13, there's an individual who is using crossbreeding and heterozygosity to their full advantage. So I think within our group of commercial herds, it's a definite advantage. And this is one of the reasons why I think it is when we go back and look at this data set and we say, okay, let's look at the feed efficiency by retained heterozygosity. And in these 3 small validation populations, we see the linear effect of retained heterozygosity on residual feed intake as an example. Each kilogram, so this is really kilograms of dry matter intake per day per 1% increase in retained heterozygosity. And you can see that it's in the same direction all the time, in a good direction, by the way. So that's always important. So it was nice to see that it came out. And that over 250 days, this was worth $18 a head. We don't have to wait for 25 years of selection. This occurs like year 1. So, as in terms of a tool to commercial cow-calf producers, I think that's going to be a really good one. So in finishing, of course, our next step, of course, is to continue to detect genomic variances and rank them for functional impact, generate our gEPDs, and that's going on right now. I know that's the next job that Mohammed is going to be working on. We know that the accuracy of those gEPDs are not going to be that high, but we're hoping over the 4 years of the project that value continually increases. Incorporate those values into multi-trait selection indexes and, of course, to deploy genomic tools.